Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Welcome to Cornhusker Corner with Blake.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I'm Brooks.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
And you better bet your bottom dollar that these two brothers know how to handle business.
Here is a hand up to Thunder, who gives it back to Mike Stokes. He's going to throw it. He's got a man out. Yeah! 40. It is Larry Crouch. 15, 10, 5.
All right, welcome to Cornhusker Corner, where there's no place like this podcast. As always, we're your host, Blake, my brother, Brooks. Remember to please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I always mess that up. You can follow us on Twitter or X. And when can we stop saying Twitter or X when people are going to be like X?
X. It's X. I mean, when you click the app, it's called X. So
it's called X.
Yeah,
so
I'm beginning to let go slowly of the Twitter.
Of the Twitter. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say one thing. If you are subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click the bell so you're notified when we go live. Because when we tape all these shows, we're always live, and it would be fun to get a little bit of interaction in here. You could ask us any questions you want. If you join us live, you're the only one in here, so your question's gonna get answered.
You are a VIP.
Yes, absolutely. So
all these other stupid, live streams and podcasts make you pay for a shout out. We'll give you one for free because we're just that generous.
So subscribe and click. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Purdue. It's Purdue week, baby.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. We're 4-3, just coming off of a good win against Northwestern. Offense is completely decimated, injury-wise. A lot of people going to have to step up. But yeah, so let's go ahead and do the structured thing that we always do. So here's Purdue's personnel preview that I went ahead and did a little research for. So their offense. Hudson Card is their quarterback, the guy who Casey competed with for two years, I believe, down in Texas for the starting quarterback job. He's pretty good. He's mobile. He's a good thrower. He's not an elite thrower, but he's very serviceable. He's really good for. I mean, they just had Aiden O'Connell, so
yeah,
Purdue, to me, they're not as good as this year as they were last year, but let's get into why. So Hudson Card, he has 1,600 yards so far on the year. He has a 7-5 touchdown interception ratio. He's decent in the short and intermediate game, but sort of kind of bad in the deep game. They have Sheffield and Deion Burks as wide receivers. Deion Burks wears number 4. Looking a little bit like what was that one guy? More. Anyway, Devin Maccabee, the walk-on running back, who really had a really good game against us last year. He's the running back. He has 478 yards so far in the year, 4 touchdowns. And they really aren't necessarily a run between the tackles team. They really try to use edge concepts for running stretch plays and things like that. So their offense is flashy at times, but overall not very efficient, especially in the past game. Mm-hmm. They're like 30th or something like that in passing yards on the year so far. But they're passing attempts. They're like 30th in passing attempts so far, the amount of attempts they've had, but they're like 65th or 70th in passing yards. So it's not very efficient of a passing game, and they're not so good in the red zone either. They're 124th. In the red zone. But they had one big win this year. To me, it was a big win. They beat Illinois 44-19. I watched that game. And man, it was wild because I was watching it while I worked out. And the first half, it seemed like such a close competitive game. And then all of a sudden I looked up and it was like, man, they really turned it on offense.
Isn't that the game that the quarterback, I forget his name now, from Illinois, didn't he throw 3 picks?
I believe so. Yeah, it was not a clean game at all. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't keeping track of the stats while I was watching, but yeah, it wasn't. The turnovers galore in that first half, really from both teams, from what I remember. But they turned it on in the second half, 44-19. So their offense is is interesting, but it's nothing our defense can't handle. It's nothing that I'm looking at it and where I'm like, okay, there's matchup problems here and there. No, if we show up and play what we know we can play, we should be able to handle them.
Yep.
Defensively, for Purdue, their pass rush is respectable. Jenkins and Scorton are linebackers who lead the team with 9.5 combined sacks, along with Omenode, he's a nose tackle. He has 12 QB hurries, and they're a 21 sack team. They have 21 sacks as a team on the year, which puts them like at 30 or 35. We have 24, so we're like 8. But anyways, and they're ranked 91st in passing yards given up per game. So yeah, they they play hard. They sort of operate with the hair on fire mentality that Illinois' defense last year operated with, given that, Walters is the head coach of Purdue now, and he brought over a lot of the assistant coaches that had ties to him with him. So they play with a similar scheme and a similar passion to the way Illinois played last year, but they just don't have the personnel, obviously, that Illinois had last year.
I mean, personnel and losing Jeff Brom,
yes,
he's a good coach,
100%.
He's a good coach. So
look at Louisville. They're doing great.
I mean, he's just a good coach, and I mean that just kind of goes to show how hard it is to win in the Big Ten. Because I mean, he goes there and it's a little easier, and he's just a good coach, man. And his style fits that league way better than ours. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, to sum it all up, personnel wise, there's not one person on either side of the ball you look at, like when we were playing Ohio State in 2019 and we thought we may have a chance, but then you watch Ohio State's film and Chase Young's on the defensive line. There's nothing like that. Even last year, it was like, Jones, Charlie Jones, the wide receiver, you knew he was going to give us problems. Same with Aiden O'Connell. There's nothing like that to me. Nothing is like, oh no, how are we going to handle that? It's all like, okay, if we play clean, we'll be able to handle that. Our guy is better than their guy, I believe. Keys to the game. Do you have keys to the game?
I do.
Okay. Keys to the game.
Keys to the game. So with a lot of attrition on the offensive side of the ball, and just how Purdue plays, you kind of mentioned a little bit. Their run defense, I think, is a little bit better than their pass defense. So this is a game where our young receiving core is going to have to step up, and even with losing Billy Kemp, who's going to step into that role, whether it be Fleeks or somebody else. But getting that pass game going and getting it going early is going to open up the run. And that's usually opposite of what I say and what I feel when I'm watching the games. But I feel like that's how Sat is going to attack it. That seems like his game plan going into almost every game. But that's I think that would really help open up everything, open up the entire playbook. If you hit a couple early deep shots or mid to deep shots, it open up the entire field, open up that run game, and then we should be cranking.
I see where he's coming from with that. I mean, like you look at the Big Ten West, and it's like most leagues you run or you pass off the run in most leagues, but in the Big Ten West, no team really has the greatest passing offense ever. And you're going to expect the run 99% of the time. So if a team can show you that they're deadly at all in the pass game, then the run game will probably open up. So while it's frustrating in those moments when you come out in the drive and Sat calls 3 pass plays in a row and it's a 3 and out, he made a point a couple weeks ago that was like, you sort of have to have the guts go 3 and out, which sounds funny, but in this league, there's a point to it. And I agree with that key. If you can get the pass game going, then the run game's golden. So
yeah. And another key on offense definitely is the line and seeing how those guys meld together. I mean, if you see getting pressure early, those things are going to have to. He's going to have to get Harburg on the run. I think he throws better on the run anyways. But he's going to have to get him on the run, take as much pressure off of the line as he can to open up that pass game. Because if he's dropping back and getting a lot of pressure on him from the line that is now three deep in some places, it's going to be a long day. So definitely something else to look out for.
Yeah. I mean, now that you mention it, like I would love to see a statistical breakdown of this, but Harburg is magnanimously better throwing on the run than he is throwing in the pocket.
It's crazy.
Like he doesn't throw well in the pocket at all. But when he's like, it spills out just a little bit, or it has to what do you call it? Has to make things up on the fly at all. He's not bad. He's a pretty relatively accurate passer. So yeah, that's interesting. Never really thought about that.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, even that touchdown pass that he threw last week, he started out, he ran a little bit and was able to get his feet set. It wasn't drop back, and it wasn't a typical quarterback thing.
True.
It was a rolling out, stopping, and then throwing.
Fair point. Because if you freeze frame it, like if you freeze frame that play, like as he's about to throw, it looks like a conventional pass, sort of.
Yeah.
Like he's in a pocket, but no, he moved. You're totally right about that.
Yeah, he moved. And lots of people have. I'm not unique in this, but I just know you notice like he throws better on the run. So scheme it open. Scheme it around your quarterback's strengths. We'll see if he does that. But
I think about Auburn 2012 or 2012. Auburn 2012 was one of the pioneers of the RPO system. Really, was Malzahn with Nick Mason as his starting quarterback. And there was one play where, I mean, your offensive line has to be so disciplined for this to happen. But there was one play, and I believe the SEC championship or something, where Nick Mason, he runs and rolls out and looks like it's a bootleg. Like he's all the way out on the end, almost past the line, and then throws it downfield and the guy's wide open. Stuff like that would really like benefit to use Harburg in a lot of those types of ways. But anyway,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. And if, it's nothing's open, then he's already out of the pocket and he can get moving.
Right.
I'm a big fan of moving the quarterback on the run anyways.
Yeah. Did you prefer that? Did you prefer that when you played?
100%. I mean, I played with the shitty line, so
right.
I always like to move away from that as much as I could.
Right.
Getting blind hit it from your blind side when you're not expecting it is not a fun feeling.
Right.
But yeah. So another key, and I'll switch to the defensive side of the ball, and it's an area where we've gotten lucky a lot, and it is in the pass game. There's been a lot of dropped passes by our opponents in critical positions that have kind of helped our pass defense. Because if you look at it, there's been like either a bad throw by a quarterback, drop ball, or by the receiver, but the guy's open. That's been a case a couple different, more than a handful of times that I've seen. And you gotta, I think against the core that you have, against the core that we have, you have to do some sort of zone man concept, like two deep man, like cover two man. And I think that's where we're going to make or break the game. I haven't gone down and like kind of looked at like, what are we doing here? But all I know is that when we play zone coverage, they complete a pass most times. If the quarterback has time, he completes it. So and zone is pretty easy to pass on if you know what you're doing. So it's all about disguising and all that. But I just think
just look at the Purdue game last year. I mean, like we played a lot of zone coverage, and what was his name? Aiden O'Connell just picked it apart. Really, I mean, But anyway,
I mean, it's easy. It's easy to run when you have personnel mismatches. Just because you're trying to put your guys in the right position to make plays. But I think personnel-wise, our defensive backs are a lot more athletic than what they have. Now, I might come back to rue that statement, but I think that this could be one of those games where you just see them slogging for 4 quarters. Pass interferences here and there, but they're playing tough. They're playing hard. And but that's going to be a matchup to watch, is our defensive back versus their wide receiving core.
No doubt about it. I mean, I remember the stupid narrative going into the Colorado game, which was that we have a bunch of white dudes at defensive back that can't keep up with Colorado's guys or whatever. And that's just never been true, and it's not true right now. And even after Singleton's injury, I just think that's a really strong position group on our team. The defense overall, we just there. And dudes are playing really well, and I would put all our guys against damn near any team in the Big Ten except for the top 3. You know what I mean? Like that, except for the top. I mean, there's 3 teams that are just so much better in the Big Ten than everybody else. But everyone else, I feel like we match up well with on that side of the ball. Yeah. Including Maryland, by the way. Sneak peek of what's to come a couple weeks from now. But anyway, so those are the keys to game. Or you have any more? Or
nope.
Okay, those are the keys to the game. So we got our personnel preview. We got our keys to the game. There's only one thing left to do, and that is to give our prediction for the game this weekend. It's a 2:30 game. It's home game in Memorial Stadium. Nebraska, I believe, opened as the 4.5 point favorite.
Last I checked, they were at like 2 something.
Yeah, I mean, on ESPN Analytics, it's 52% Nebraska, 48% Purdue for the win predictor. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. This matchup is interesting, mostly because, to me, Nebraska's always been a team that if they play their game, they can beat most teams in the Big Ten West. And that's one of the things that's been very frustrating about watching this, them trying to find their way in the Big Ten West for the past, 10 years or so. But I think Matt Rule's a really good coach. I think organizationally, they're starting to show why they're elite as coaches. I think we need to get offense cleaned up a lot. But I think we pull this one off. I really do. I think our offense is going to have to score to win this game. I don't think 17 will do it against Purdue. Maybe, it could, but let me put it to you this way. I would be shocked if our defense held Purdue to like 6 or less. But I would also be shocked if our defense gave up like 24 or more to Purdue. So to me, as Nebraska, you got to score like 21 to 24 points. And it'll be like 21-17, 24-17, 24-21, something like that. But I think we win 24-17. That's what I'll say. I think we win 24-17. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was going to predict they were going to score 17 too. I'm going to see if
Did you have the same score?
Maybe.
Well, to be fair, there's not much variation in this league.
No. I mean, so if you look at it from like red zone offense, both of us suck. Purdue sucks at red zone offense. We suck at red zone offense. I just
They're
feel like
124, we're 128.
Yeah, like it's horrible, right? Here's what I'll say. I think that we do score, let's say 28. Let's say 28. We're going to score 28 points, so no field goals. We could get there with field goals, but we're not going to. Yeah.
It's a bold prediction.
We're going to score 28, and they're going to score 17. So it's going to be 28-17.
28-17. Let me put it to you this way. If Nebraska scores 28 points, like, I'll be shocked. Like, I will. Like, that's just a lot for our offense the way it looks right now.
I know.
But if they score, like, crazy, but anything over that is, like, no way. Like, 31, 35, there's, like, no way. I can't see us doing, like, anything like that. 28 is pushing it. But I feel you. That would be awesome if we scored 28 points.
Yeah. No, I know. I've seen that Purdue defense just completely collapse against bad teams.
Yes.
And I think that we have more talent than the teams that have gotten a good amount of points, on them. So I don't know. It feels right because we've had to scrape the past couple weeks just to get the points that we've gotten. But if you look at it, we've shot ourselves in the foot too, in a big way. Like we could have had those 30, almost 40 points in the Illinois game.
Yeah.
And then last week, I mean, geez, are you not going to move the ball? Like, are you going to like throw an interception on our side of the field again? And like that, it was less last week, but a lot of the Illinois game, but there were definitely opportunities last week where we could have scored around 28 points. Yeah. So, Yeah, 28.
Last week was like the offense was like, let's test our defense. Like they were like, let's stress test our defense's consistency. They were like, let's do it.
They like playing so much. Let's get them out on the field.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, it's an important game, man. It's a really important game because it's the second to last like game on the schedule that where you're like, oh, okay, they have a really good chance to win this game. Like they should win if they show up and play clean. And if they win this game, then the next week they go on the road to play Michigan State, and Michigan State is in shambles. And so if they can win this game and then win the next game after that, we're bowl eligible. The elephant is off of our back.
Yeah.
We are bowl eligible. And if we're bowl eligible going into the home stretch, which is some tough games, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Illinois and Iowa, then it'd be good because who knows? We could drop all three of those, but it wouldn't be a big deal because we are already bowl eligible. So that would be to get there.
And there is a bit of the yips that come with it. The closer you get, the more you're like fighting for it because, you know, we didn't get this close last year.
Yeah.
You know, we just didn't.
Yeah.
So there's definitely 2 more wins on the schedule in theory.
Yeah.
And it definitely starts this week. And just how much does that fumble at Minnesota hurt now?
Oh man, the fumble
or the 4th down conversion,
or I mean, shoot, the interception. We had the ball, you know, like we had an opportunity, you know, like
we are 2 plays away from being 5-2 instead of 4-3.
Yes,
2 plays. That fumble or that interception.
Yes,
one
and
of
we're
the 2.
31 plays away from being undefeated.
Oh my god!
No, add the Colorado game, 2 plays from the Minnesota, about 12 plays from Colorado maybe, and we're probably 14 plays away from being
every single
6-1
offensive play at Colorado.
Yeah, every single offensive play at Colorado, and then Michigan every play, punts,
kickoffs,
100 plays for Michigan. Just take all 100 away, and we're undefeated.
Yeah, sure.
No, but yeah. So that's all I got. Is that all you got?
Yeah, I mean,
all right, cool.
Yeah, nothing much. I did want to mention, we did some news came out about our 2025 schedule, which I thought's pretty cool. And we're going to play in the Colts Stadium at Lucas Oil. So that's
opening with
cool.
Cincinnati. And you know who else we're playing that year? Houston Christian, who used to be known as HBU, Houston Baptist University. I played on their field. Like I don't know how we're playing, but it's a total money game.
Serious?
Yeah. It's cracking me up.
It's one of those games that like we just have people go.
Oh yeah. We're probably paying them like $2 million to show up and
and
it's
they'll
one of
probably
those.
beat us.
But yeah, also real quick, just wanted to touch on it while we're just sitting here doing odds and ends. What do you think of the Michigan stuff that's going on? I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like when it first broke, and I follow a lot of Ohio State fan people, and so they're biased. But when it first broke, I was telling Dad, I was like, this could be a bigger deal than people are saying it's going to be. And as the week's gone on, it's starting to feel like, oh no, this could actually be a really bad thing for Michigan. Like they could get in big trouble with this.
It could. My thing is, I know it's against the rules and everything, but they're still not winning national championships. Like, remember,
you.
Remember, like when Scott Frost got in trouble for cheating with special teams. Remember?
Yeah, I remember. And we were mad because we were like, "Why aren't we winning games?"
Yeah, we were freaking trash, right? So, I don't know, man.
Well, let me put it to you this way:
hide your stuff better. If you have something that is so easily crackable, hide your stuff better. Why do they do all this crazy crap to try to mess it up? Because if you notice something, you're going to do it.
Well, they had an entire department. So go ahead.
There's a difference between that mindset of trying to do stuff so it's not easily recognizable to doing what they did.
Yeah.
Which having somebody actively study, and it's the only thing that they do, and come out with scouting reports on it. And I mean, so some of those.
And it wasn't just somebody; it was somebody's. It was a whole department of people that was dedicated to this.
Yeah, But you see those videos now coming out of like them looking towards the other sideline and then motioning in. I mean, it's definitely a bad look.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
At least.
I mean, like I watched college football with Sam's video today on it, and he's a Michigan fan, so that's why I watched his video because I was interested in what he had to say. I mean, and he's very fair with his team at this point. I feel like the reason it took him a week to really make a video on the topic was because more and more was coming out. Michigan fans' opinion seems to even have evolved from denial and anger to like blaming just this. Oh, this guy was a lone wolf. He was just a lone wolf. They're going through the stages of it right now.
Yeah,
and it's wild because with the technicalities of everything, nothing's going to happen this year. Mm-hmm. Like nothing's going to happen to affect Michigan's season this year, but it could be a couple months after this year, and then they're getting their title stripped potentially. And look at it this way. Here's another piece of evidence for your point. Yeah, they're not winning titles, but prior to this guy being on their staff, they were 32-38 against the spread for the first like 5 years of Jim Harbaugh's tenure there. Mm-hmm. And since this guy has joined, they're like 31-6 against the spread.
Yeah.
Like they went from under 500 to the best team in the nation against the spread. And we all saw the on-field product of what that looked like. They went from, they're almost there. They're almost there. They're kind of good, but they're, they went from that for the first 5 years of Harbaugh to, oh my God, they're the best team in the Big Ten for the last 3 years. And I'm not saying it's entirely due to the fact that they know every single play that their opponents are going to run before they run them, but I am saying that has a big time. I mean, look, we're talking about, okay, it's not like Michigan. Here's another point that it's not like Michigan is Georgia. They do not have 5 stars, 5 players deep at every position. They have 5 stars, about 2 players deep at every position, which is a big difference. It is a big difference. They're still very talented, but even like when you compare them to the teams that we think of as like the most talented teams in college football, they're like just outside of the top 10, maybe number 9, maybe, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like they're doing all this stuff with, really on paper is subpar talent to the compared to Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State and those teams that are stacked. So you think about that and it's like, oh, it was a culture thing. Jim Harbaugh's just got a really good culture. They're a tough-nosed football team. Well, they are a tough-nosed football team, but it's also, I really do think at this point, it's also the fact that they knew every coverage before it was even called. I mean, right after it was called, they knew every play that was about to be ran, right? I mean, like, and I don't know, from a player standpoint, it would kind of piss me off if I was on Michigan, especially if I was on Michigan and I didn't know. Based on that video from Ohio State last year, it really seemed like everyone was in on the operation. Not just the coaches even. The players probably knew. They're not stupid, but if I was a player, I'd be mad that like they're jeopardizing my opportunity, like we're good. Just let us play. Like
at some point you're going to have somebody be accountable. And I think with how they've done scandals recently, just on a wide variety of things, like the stuff with Fitz at Northwestern. I mean, the stuff with what's his face at Michigan State,
Mel Tucker.
I mean, those are different types of things, but the hammer has come down, especially in Mel Tucker. I think that was very much so on him, not really his team or on field stuff. And I think it was kind of making me a plant because they were like, oh crap, we just gave this guy a massive extension. Let's get him out of there as fast as we can because he's not that great of a coach. But I'm just going to say that really fast. Like, a medication.
Like a disclaimer at the end of a pharmaceutical commercial.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to come down on Harbaugh. If they can prove it, even if they can prove this much, they are going to put the hammer down. And it's going to come directly on Harbaugh.
Yep.
And he's not going to survive it at Michigan.
No. That's what's crazy about this. He's developing into that.
And it's just because of the nature of it. I just think he's done coaching. Because people don't trust cheaters in coaching positions anymore. They don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Not in the NFL, not in college. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, all the Astros players are still playing. You know, like
Yeah, the players.
Yeah, true. AJ Hinch, I don't know if he's a manager anywhere. Is he a manager? Let
Probably
me look it
not.
up. AJ Hinch. Can look it up real quick.
Well,
Hinch.
he might be at a
AJ
desperate.
Hinch is he's the manager of the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, see,
AJ American baseball. He is the manager of the Detroit Tigers. So AJ Hinch is the guy who got wrapped up in all of that with the Astros sign stealing scandal. And I mean, like, I don't know. To me, it's definitely going to. I think this is going to result in Michigan having to take action, because if you're a university like Michigan, it gets to a point where like you have to take action. Like,
you have to protect your brand.
Yeah, 100%.
There was
100%.
Did you ever watch that Manti Te'o thing on Netflix?
Yeah, I did.
And what the most interesting part of that was how the university was going to handle it and how it reflected on the university. And I was just like, oh, I never thought about that. Like, what? Because that's how universities think. Unless it's something like Sandusky and all that stuff at Penn State, most of the time, like the stuff at Michigan State, I don't really fault them for that.
Yeah, it's
not
not
Mel
the
Tucker thing,
university's
not
fault.
the gymnastics thing. Definitely fault them for that.
Yeah.
Want that completely honest.
Good looking out. Yeah, don't want anybody to take that out of context.
Don't want anybody to take that out of
I don't
context.
fault Michigan State for that.
No. But it is something that they're going to have to get out in front of, I think. And it's really unfortunate with the type of year that Michigan is having. Like, I think they're the best team in the country, hands down. I really don't see anybody close. Actually, the closest one I see to them is Washington.
Well, no doubt about it. They know everybody's plays.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's my point. Like,
sure.
Like, that's the problem with when anything like this happens at all. That's the problem with it, is like, I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but the reality is that will always be a question now. That will always be. You can never talk about their team in any sort of light without at least mentioning that as an asterisk. Even if nothing ever happens, that will always be an asterisk for them. So if you're a Michigan fan, like, I feel for you, to be honest. It's not your fault. Like, it's not your fault. Like, your team like has been really good, and you're like, whoa, I'm lucky, and now all this stuff is happening.
I mean,
it's
if
like,
you remember Michigan back like after like the Rich Rod.
Oh yeah,
days
they were
and everything,
terrible.
They were trash.
Yeah,
and like horrible. They went through their years of attrition. Didn't last as long as ours, so we're still trying to climb out of. But still, like,
I mean, we were above average, and we were beating Michigan. You know, like, like we weren't great, but we weren't average either. We were above average, good, but we were beating Michigan. I mean, we beat them twice, I think. So I definitely remember one time we beat them in the Big House when we ran a final, like the final play that scored a touchdown was like it was like a zone. Basically, like he handed the ball to Amir, and Amir was the quarterback in the option, and Rex was the pitch man. It was awesome. So I remember that. But yeah, this is going to be a crazy. It's going to be.
It'll be nuts.
It's funny. All these Michigan fans are like, "I'm tired of this already." I bet you are. I bet I'm not. I'm not tired of this at all. This is fascinating to me. Sending people to other games, writing things down, videoing. I mean, it's not. It's all illegal.
See, I think they are going to have the most problem with the video component.
Yeah.
Like, there's one thing of making your notes and trying to do it all from memory. Again, that's kind of part of the game. People already try to do that, right?
doubt.
It's the videotaping, it's the going in person, sending people to do it as opposed to looking at film and trying to do it that way. And like, it's an extra step.
He
so
hired a military man with like experience, like decoding experience. I mean, like, and this wasn't just like some guy who was like not even on the field during the game. No, like he was in the ear of the offensive and the defensive coordinator the entire game. Like, it's damning. It's damning. Yeah. And I'm not reveling in it, to be honest. I feel for Michigan, and I feel for Michigan fans. Overall, especially as the closer you get to the end of the year and everybody sort of settles down with, you know, their team pride, it gets to the point where like, I'm like, I want the Big Ten to win. You know what I mean? Like I want us to be looked at as the best league, right? Yeah. So from that perspective, it's like, man, I think Michigan was sort of our champion this year. I think they were sort of going to be that team that was going to be like, okay, Michigan is the best team and the Big Ten's the best conference. But at this point, I can't root for them. I can't.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. Like, I don't have anything against the Block Gam or Blue or anything like that. I really don't. I respect them as a program, but I just can't root for them.
Too are very nice too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they're very high, they're generally a pretty classy program, but this is this is something that a week ago a lot of people were brushing off. Oh, you know, the NCAA is meshing with Harbaugh because Harbaugh, you know, basically spat in their face, you know, three months ago and was like, I'm not going to do your suspension. We're going to do our own suspension. And it's like, that's another factor in this. It's like the NCAA is pissed off at Michigan right now too.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of a, I don't know. I'd be interested to see like if I had like a x-ray vision and I could see everything that is against the rules that every single program is doing, I'd be interested to see how many programs are doing something like this. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested because it can't just be Michigan. There's no way. I guarantee like somebody out there is in some head coach out there right now is sitting around talking to all of his assistant coaches trying to cover their tracks. You know what I mean? I guarantee that's a conversation that's happening right now or it's already happened. So yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, that's a good point. Well, I mean, that's what we think about it, but we're no experts, and
we are no experts. No,
we're no experts. But take this, Jim. I don't know what that means, but he knows. He knows. He definitely knows.
I get your point. He definitely knows. He's a weird guy. He's a weird guy. He came into the Big Ten like a thief in the night, and he's gonna leave like a thief in the night too. What a weird man.
What a weird guy. All
right.
Yeah. Well,
he belongs in the Special Olympics.
Okay. I think that's going to be it for us today on the
coaching, not participating.
Always remember that there's no place like
this podcast. I almost said Nebraska.